Part 3, we talked about the cheap oil prices of the 90s, aiding booming economies around the world. For the next 2 decades, demand grew, tensions in the Middle East rose, and the concept of peak oil added to ever-rising prices. In this episode, we'll take a look at the U.S. steps to combat energy insecurity. In 2005, world production of oil had reached a plateau, and prices were only climbing. The Department of Energy in the United States requested a study on the future availability of oil. That report was known as the Hirsch Report, and it predicted world demand for oil would grow 50% by 2025, and that peak oil presented an unprecedented risk. The peaking of world oil production presents the U.S. and the world with an unprecedented risk management problem. As peaking is approached, liquid fuel prices and price volatility will increase dramatically, and without timely mitigation, the economic, social, and political costs will be unprecedented. Viable mitigation options exist on both the supply and demand sides, but to have substantial impact, they must be initiated more than a decade in advance of peaking. Some of the mitigation efforts included fuel-efficient transportation, heavy oil, oil sands, coal liquefaction, enhanced oil recovery, and gas to liquids. Let's start with heavy oil, oil sands. Starting in the early zeros, Canada began processing oil sands, and by 2010 was producing over 1.6 million barrels a day. Most of that oil is purchased by the United States. That heavy oil travels over a pipeline to refineries in Texas and other states. In the United States, conventional oil production outside of Alaska had been in decline since 1970, and production in Alaska started to decline in the 90s. But with prices high, producers used a new method to get to harder-to-reach oil: fracking. Fracking is expensive, and most wells dry up quickly. But with the financial crash of 2008 and the bailout that followed, money was poured into fracking projects. And by the fall of 2018, the United States was producing almost 10 million barrels of oil a day. And for the first time since 1953, the United States became a net oil exporter. Back to 2008. After the financial crisis and the Great Recession, oil was hit hard, falling to $30 a barrel by the end of the year. But prices didn't stay down for long. Prices dropped to $30 a barrel that year simply because of fear, not a significant change in supply or demand. Immediately, they began to rise again, and with more turmoil in the Middle East with the Arab Spring of 2011, prices reached a new high. But the high didn't last long. As fracking in the United States was really starting to see returns, U.S. companies pumped out more and more oil. By 2014, demand in Asia and Europe had reduced, and OPEC kept producing in an effort to combat U.S. shale oil production from fracking. By 2017, prices were down again. Remember, fracking is expensive, much more so than conventional drilling. Shale oil costs more than conventional oil to extract, ranging from a cost per barrel of production from as low as $40 to over $90 a barrel. Saudi Arabia has the cheapest price to produce at around $10 per barrel. So remember the large investments after 2008 into the fracking industry in the United States? Between 2012 and 2017, the 30 largest shale producers lost more than $50 billion, according to a Wall Street estimate. From 2015 to 2016, a whopping 91% of all corporate debt defaults in the United States were in the oil and gas sector. Reduced production from OPEC in 2018 and the start of the U.S. involvement in the Syrian war caused a year-long bump in price. But soon prices fell again. That brings us to today. And with the global pandemic drastically reducing demand, coupled with an oil war between the United States, OPEC, and Russia, as of this date, oil is down to $27 a barrel. This is new territory. Nothing like this has been seen since the Spanish flu of 1918. Where we go from here is uncertain, but I will make my best guess in the next and final episode. If you enjoy this content, please click the like button and share, and consider subscribing for more videos. Thank you.